Hello there, and welcome to Cosmic Sleep Stories. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you have a cat curled up beside you right now, purring mysteriously, judging you silently. Or perhaps you're a dog person wondering what all the fuss is about. Either way, you're about to discover that cats are far stranger, far more interesting, and far more ridiculous than you ever imagined. You can rest now. Tonight, you have nothing to do but let go. Let your breathing slow, steady as a cat's patient stalk through tall grass. Let your body relax, sinking into comfort like a cat finding the one spot of sunlight in an entire room. Let your mind drift into the peculiar world of felines, those mysterious creatures that somehow convinced humans to worship them as gods and still haven't let us forget it. Over the next hour and more, we'll explore together the secret lives of cats. Not just your domestic tabby knocking things off counters at 3 a.m., though we'll get to that. We're talking about the entire cat family, from 400-pound Siberian tigers to 3-pound rusty spotted cats no bigger than guinea pigs. We'll discover why cats are the way they are, how they pulled off one of evolution's greatest scams, and why they're simultaneously the most successful predators on Earth and the most ridiculous animals you'll ever meet. Some facts will make you laugh. Others will make you appreciate the furry weirdo currently sitting on your laptop. And some will simply wash over you like a cat's disdainful glance, leaving only soft impressions as you drift towards sleep. And that's perfectly fine. Cats don't care if you remember everything about them. They're too busy licking themselves and plotting world domination. And before we begin our journey into the secret world of cats, if these quiet animal explorations help you unwind at the end of your day, consider subscribing to Cosmic Sleep Stories. It helps others find this peaceful corner of natural history, one sleepy soul at a time. Now, close your eyes if you'd like. Breathe slowly, feeling yourself held by Earth even as your mind prepares to contemplate the beautiful absurdity of cats. And let's begin our gentle exploration of the most successful con artists in evolutionary history. Let's start with a truth that might surprise you. Cats domesticated themselves. Unlike dogs, which humans actively bred for specific jobs like herding or hunting or pulling sleds, cats just showed up one day and decided humans were useful. This happened about 10,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent, that region we now call Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. Humans had recently invented agriculture and were storing grain for the first time. And stored grain attracts mice and rats. Lots of them. An all-you-can-eat buffet for rodents. And you know what rodents attract? Wild cats. Small wildcats noticed that hanging around human settlements meant easy hunting. The humans noticed that having cats around meant fewer rats eating their food. It was a business arrangement, not a friendship. The cats killed rodents. The humans tolerated cats. Nobody was breeding anybody for specific traits. Nobody was training anybody to do tricks. The cats just hung around being cats, doing what cats naturally do, which is mostly sleeping and occasionally murdering small animals. This is why cats are barely domesticated even today. Dogs have been selectively bred for 15,000 to 30,000 years, which is why you have everything from Chihuahuas to Great Danes. All the same species, but wildly different. Cats have only been selectively bred for about 150 years, and mostly for coat patterns, not behavior or size. A house cat and a wild cat are almost identical genetically. Your tabby knocking over your water glass is basically a wild animal that's decided your house is convenient. It hasn't evolved to need you or love you. It's just here because the food is reliable and the sunbeams are convenient, and you provide warm laps on demand. This explains so much about cat behavior. Why they're aloof. Why they ignore you when you call them, but show up instantly when you open a can. Why they bring you dead animals as if you're the most incompetent hunter they've ever seen. They're not being mean. They're just being barely domesticated apex predators who happen to fit on your couch. As you rest now, let yourself appreciate this. The creature purring next to you is essentially a wild tiger who has figured out that humans are easier to manipulate than hunting is. Evolution has created the perfect scam artist, and we fell for it completely. Let your breathing match the rhythm of a cat's purr, that strange vibration that scientists still don't fully understand. Somewhere between 25 and 150 vibrations per second, a frequency that promotes healing in bones and tissues. Cats purr when they're happy, but also when they're scared or injured or dying. It's a self-soothing mechanism that happens to also manipulate humans into thinking the cat loves them. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Your house cat belongs to a family called Felidae, which includes 38 or 39 species, depending on who's counting and what week it is. Scientists keep changing their minds about cat classification because cats, even in taxonomy, refuse to be easily categorized. All these cats, from lions to leopards to that 3-pound rusty spotted cat I mentioned, share a common ancestor that lived about 10 to 11 million years ago in Asia. This ancestral cat looked kind of like a civet, those weird cat-like creatures that produce the world's most expensive coffee by eating and pooping out coffee beans. Don't think about that too hard while you're trying to sleep. From this civet-like ancestor, cats split into two major groups: the extinct saber-toothed cats, which we'll get to in a moment, and all the modern cats we know today. The modern cats then split into 8 different lineages, each taking different evolutionary paths, each solving the problem of being a carnivore in different ways. There's the big cat lineage, your lions and tigers and leopards and jaguars. There's the caracal lineage, which includes some of Africa's weirdest cats. There's the ocelot lineage, a whole bunch of South American spotted cats that all look vaguely the same. There's the lynx lineage, the fluffy-eared cats of the northern forests. There's the puma lineage, which confusingly includes both pumas and cheetahs, even though they look nothing alike. There's the leopard cat lineage, a bunch of small Asian cats you've probably never heard of. There's the bay cat lineage, which are so rare and elusive that we barely know they exist. And there's the domestic cat lineage, which includes your house cat and a bunch of small wild cats that all look suspiciously like house cats, because genetically they basically are. 8 lineages, 38 or 39 species, all descended from that one civet-like ancestor 10 million years ago. And all of them, every single one, shares certain traits that make them unmistakably feline. Retractable claws for most species. Forward-facing eyes for binocular vision. Specialized teeth for slicing meat. Rough tongues covered in tiny hooks for grooming and scraping meat off bones. And that characteristic feline grace, that way of moving that looks both lazy and deadly at the same time. As you drift now, imagine that ancestral cat, that first true feline, prowling through Asian forests 10 million years ago. It didn't know it was starting one of evolution's most successful lineages. It was just trying to catch prey and avoid being eaten and maybe find a comfortable tree to nap in. Same as cats today, really. The goals haven't changed, only the details. Let yourself appreciate how little cats have needed to change to be successful. While other predators got bigger or faster or developed pack hunting, cats just perfected the solo ambush predator lifestyle and stuck with it for millions of years. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Evolution's version of a cat, not caring about your opinion. Now, let's talk about the saber-toothed cats, because they're too ridiculous not to mention. These weren't actually tigers, by the way. Calling them saber-toothed tigers is technically wrong, but we've been doing it for so long that correcting people feels unnecessarily pedantic. They were cats with absurdly long canine teeth, and they're all extinct now, which is probably for the best. The saber-tooth lineage split off from modern cats about 20 million years ago, and spent the next 19.99 million years experimenting with various lengths of ridiculous teeth. Some had modest sabers, barely longer than normal canines. Others had full-on daggers sticking out of their mouths, teeth so long they couldn't close their mouths completely, and probably needed skin flaps to cover them when not in use. The most famous is Smilodon, that icon from the Ice Age movies, the one with teeth so long it could open its jaws 120 degrees. For reference, modern cats open their mouths about 65 degrees. Smilodon could basically unhinge its jaw like a snake, which is both impressive and deeply unsettling. These enormous teeth were for killing large prey with single devastating bites to the throat, causing massive blood loss. Quick, efficient, less energy than the strangling technique modern cats use. Smilodon was built like a linebacker, stocky and muscular, perfect for wrestling mammoths and giant ground sloths to the ground before delivering that killing bite. They went extinct about 10,000 years ago, coinciding with the extinction of the large mammals they hunted. When the mammoths and ground sloths disappeared, the saber-toothed cats had nothing big enough to justify their specialized equipment. Meanwhile, normal cats with normal teeth survive just fine eating normal-sized prey. Specialization is great until your niche disappears. There were dozens of saber-toothed cat species over millions of years. Some built for speed with long legs. Others built for power with massive shoulders. Some with teeth like scimitars, curved and serrated. Others with teeth like daggers, straight and smooth. Evolution trying every possible variation on the theme of what if cat, but with silly teeth. And here's the thing that should make you smile as you drift toward sleep. These weren't the only animals to evolve saber teeth. Marsupials did it. Other carnivores did it. Even some weird extinct relatives of cats that weren't actually cats did it. Saber teeth evolved independently at least 4 or 5 times in different lineages, which means evolution kept arriving at the same conclusion. Long stabby teeth are a solid strategy for killing large mammals. It's like convergent evolution's version of everyone discovering pizza. Different cultures, different ingredients, but everyone ends up with bread plus toppings equals delicious. Evolution kept going, teeth plus longer equals effective, until the large prey went extinct and suddenly nobody needed pizza anymore. Metaphorically speaking, let that amuse you as sleep approaches. The universe spent millions of years perfecting the art of the saber tooth across multiple lineages, and then climate change said, "Cool story, bro," and made them all extinct. Evolution doesn't care about your cool adaptations if the environment changes. It's the ultimate reminder that nothing is permanent, not even 12-inch fangs. Now let's talk about the cats that survived, the ones still here, and boy are some of them strange. Let's start with the smallest, because tiny cats are objectively hilarious. The rusty spotted cat of India and Sri Lanka weighs about 3 to 4 pounds as an adult. That's smaller than most house cats. It's the size of a guinea pig, but with the soul of a leopard. These miniature murder machines hunt rodents and birds and insects, anything they can manage with their tiny bodies. They're excellent climbers, mostly nocturnal, and have been seen pouncing on prey from tree branches like the world's smallest and angriest squirrels. Everything about them is cat, just shrunk down to ridiculous proportions. Then there's the black-footed cat of southern Africa, which weighs about 5 pounds and has the highest hunting success rate of any cat. Over 60% success rate, which puts lions to shame. Lions succeed about 25% of the time. This tiny cat is more than twice as effective, probably because it's hunting mice instead of buffalo, but still. Tiny cat, deadly hunter, making the big cats look like amateurs. On the opposite end of the scale, you have Siberian tigers, which can exceed 600 pounds and measure 9 feet long. They're built for surviving Russian winters, with thick fur and massive paws that work like snowshoes. They look like someone took a normal tiger and inflated it with steroids. They're so large they barely look real, like animatronic props from a theme park. The size range in cats is remarkable, from 3 pounds to 700 pounds. All the same basic body plan, just scaled up or down depending on what they're eating and where they live. Small cats eat small prey and hide from big predators. Big cats eat big prey and hide from nothing because they're the top of the food chain. But both are doing the same thing, just at different scales. Let yourself find comfort in that thought. Whether you're facing big challenges or small ones, you're still doing the same fundamental work of existing and adapting and trying to thrive. The size of the challenge doesn't change the basic approach. You assess the situation, you use the tools you have, you adapt as needed. Very cat-like, really. As you rest now, imagine the entire cat family spread across the globe. Tigers in Siberia and India, lions in Africa, jaguars in the Amazon, leopards everywhere from African savannas to Siberian forests, pumas from Canada to Chile, tiny cats in the deserts and forests of Asia. Cats have conquered almost every habitat on Earth except Antarctica and Australia, and the only reason they're not in Antarctica is nobody wants to live there, and they're not native to Australia, but were introduced there and are now extremely successful at being an invasive species. Because of course they are. Let's talk about some of the weirder cats, the ones that showcase just how strange evolution can get when it's working with the basic cat template. There's the fishing cat of Southeast Asia, which has partially webbed feet and hunts in wetlands, diving underwater to catch fish. It has a double-layered coat, dense undercoat to keep its skin dry, outer coat for displaying its spots and stripes. Like a cat designed by someone who really wanted it to be an otter. There's the flat-headed cat, also from Southeast Asia, which might be the weirdest-looking cat in existence. It has a flat head, as the name suggests, and partially webbed feet, and teeth that slant slightly backward to help grip slippery fish. It's so small and so rare that camera traps set up to study wildlife mostly miss it because it walks under the cameras. Scientists had to lower the cameras to ground level to finally get pictures of these tiny fish-eating weirdos. There's the Pallas's cat of Central Asia, which looks like someone took a normal cat and replaced its soul with that of a grumpy old man who's deeply disappointed in everything. They have long fur that makes them look twice their actual size, tiny ears, and flat faces that give them a permanent expression of disdainful judgment. They live in rocky deserts and frozen steppes, hunting rodents and looking absolutely furious about the weather. There's the sand cat of North African and Middle Eastern deserts, which lives in true deserts and gets all its water from prey. It has fur-covered paws to walk on hot sand, thick ear hair to keep out sandstorms, and can kill venomous vipers with quick strikes to the head. It's the only cat that lives exclusively in deserts, and it's about as big as a house cat, but infinitely more hardcore. There's the caracal, with its distinctive long ear tufts that it can rotate independently to pinpoint sounds. It can leap 6 feet straight up to snatch birds out of the air. It'll take down prey 3 times its own size, including young antelope and jackals. It's built like a small athlete, all muscle and attitude, and will absolutely mess you up if you annoy it. And then there's the clouded leopard, which might be the most beautiful cat in existence, with cloud-shaped spots, a tail as long as its body for balance, and the ability to climb down trees head first. It has the longest canine teeth relative to body size of any living cat, reminiscent of saber-toothed cats, but not actually related. Convergent evolution doing its thing again. As you drift deeper into relaxation, let these images of strange cats float through your mind. Evolution taking the basic cat design and tweaking it for fishing, for desert survival, for high-altitude hunting, for looking perpetually annoyed. Each variation solving a different problem, each one succeeding by being just different enough from the standard model while remaining unmistakably feline. Let that variety comfort you. There's no single right way to be a cat, just as there's no single right way to be human. Some cats climb trees, some hunt fish, some live in deserts, some live in snow. All of them are valid approaches to being a cat. All of them work in their specific contexts. Now let's talk about the domestic cat specifically, that peculiar creature that shares your home and judges your life choices. House cats descend primarily from the African wildcat, a small wildcat that still exists today in Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. If you saw an African wildcat next to a tabby house cat, you'd be hard-pressed to tell them apart. They're nearly identical. This is important because it explains why house cats still behave like wild animals. They haven't been domesticated long enough or intensively enough to change much. A dog's brain is noticeably different from a wolf's brain due to thousands of years of selection for tameness and cooperation. A house cat's brain is basically identical to a wildcat's brain. It's just a wildcat that's decided your house is a convenient territory. This is why cats have such strange relationships with humans. They're not pack animals like dogs, so they don't see you as part of their pack or as a pack leader. They're solitary hunters who sometimes tolerate other cats in resource-rich environments, which is exactly how they treat humans. You're a resource-rich environment that provides food and warmth and occasionally acceptable petting. When your cat brings you a dead mouse, it's not a gift in the human sense. The cat is either showing you how to hunt because it thinks you're incompetent, or it's bringing prey back to its territory because that's what cats do. When your cat head bumps you, it's marking you with scent glands on its face, claiming you as part of its territory. When it ignores you, it's doing what solitary predators do most of the time, which is not caring about other creatures unless they're food or threats. And yet, cats do form bonds with humans. They just do it on their own terms, in their own way, at their own pace. A cat that chooses to sit on your lap is genuinely choosing to be near you, which might mean more than a dog's enthusiasm, because the dog has been bred for thousands of years to desperately need human approval, while the cat genuinely doesn't care and is choosing you anyway. Let yourself appreciate that as sleep approaches. The creatures that choose to stay with you despite having the option to leave are showing you something real. Cats could survive without humans in most environments. They're competent hunters and don't need our protection. When they choose to stay, to purr on your lap, to sleep on your bed, they're making a genuine choice based on comfort and preference, not necessity. That's oddly reassuring in a world where so much feels obligatory. The cat is here because it wants to be, or at least because the benefits outweigh the costs. It's a business arrangement that occasionally includes affection, and there's something honest about that. Now let's talk about why cats are the way they are, behaviorally speaking, because their quirks make so much more sense when you understand the evolutionary context. Cats are crepuscular, meaning they're most active at dawn and dusk. This is prime hunting time for small predators. Prey animals are active, visibility is decent, and larger predators are often less active. Your cat zooming around at 3 a.m. is just following its ancestral programming. Cats sleep 12 to 16 hours a day because predators in general sleep a lot. Hunting requires intense energy, and the rest of the time, they conserve energy by sleeping. Your cat isn't lazy, it's optimizing its energy expenditure like cats have done for millions of years. The fact that it's not hunting and could just eat from a bowl whenever it wants hasn't updated its sleep schedule. Cats are meticulous groomers because a clean coat is essential for hunting. Scent from old kills or just body odor can alert prey. Also, grooming removes parasites and maintains skin health. Your cat spending hours licking itself isn't vanity, it's practical maintenance. The fact that it does this immediately after you pet it isn't an insult, it's just removing your scent so it smells like a proper predator again. Cats cover their waste because in the wild, exposed feces advertise your presence to larger predators and to prey. Subordinate cats bury their waste to avoid conflict with dominant cats. Your cat burying its poop in the litter box is following the same instinct, treating you as the dominant cat in the household, which you should find flattering, honestly. Cats knock things off tables and counters because they're testing objects to see if they're prey. Something sitting still might be dead, but if you knock it and it moves, maybe it's alive and catchable. Also, dropping things is fun and gets your attention. Your cat has learned that knocking over your water glass makes you react, which is interesting to a creature that's otherwise pretty bored in a house with no prey to hunt. Cats do that thing where they knead with their paws because it's a behavior from kittenhood, kneading their mother's belly to stimulate milk flow. Adult cats kneading blankets or your lap are regressing to a comfortable kitten behavior, which is honestly adorable. The fact that their claws are out and it hurts is unintentional. They're not thinking about your comfort. They're thinking about how nice it is to knead. As you drift now, smile at these explanations. Your cat isn't weird, it's just running on software designed for a completely different environment. It's a wild predator in a house with no prey, trying to express millions of years of instinct through the limited options available. Knocking things over, zooming at 3 a.m., ignoring you for hours then demanding attention. All perfectly normal behaviors for a barely domesticated apex predator. Let yourself be amused by the absurdity of living with wild animals who happen to be small enough to share your space. We've invited these creatures into our homes, given them food and shelter and veterinary care, and they've responded by maintaining almost perfect wild animal behaviors while occasionally purring on our laps. It's a bizarre arrangement, and it somehow works. And now, as sleep truly approaches, as your thoughts become less structured and more dreamlike, let's contemplate one final aspect of cats: their cultural significance, the way humans have been obsessed with cats for thousands of years. Because that obsession reveals something about us as much as about them. Ancient Egyptians worshipped cats as gods, particularly the goddess Batet, depicted with a cat's head. They mummified cats and buried them with honors. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was a capital offense. This wasn't just superstition. Cats protected grain stores from rats, preventing famine. They were genuinely essential to survival, so the reverence made practical sense even before the religious aspect. In Japanese culture, the maneki niko, the beckoning cat statue, represents good fortune and prosperity. The raised paw supposedly saved a lord from lightning, or beckoned customers into a shop, or any of a dozen origin stories that all end with, and now we put cat statues everywhere for luck. The culture developed differently, but the cat reverence remained. In medieval Europe, cats were sometimes associated with witchcraft and killed en masse, which probably contributed to plague outbreaks because fewer cats meant more rats spreading disease. Humans learning the hard way that cats are useful. Then the pendulum swung back, and cats became beloved companions again. Today, the internet is absolutely dominated by cats. Cat videos, cat memes, cat pictures, entire accounts dedicated to specific famous cats. Grumpy Cat had millions of followers and movie deals. Cats have achieved celebrity status based purely on existing and looking a certain way. This is the ultimate cat con. They've convinced humans to worship them through social media now instead of temples. The reason for this obsession might be exactly what we've been discussing. Cats are independent enough to feel like a genuine choice when they show you affection. They're beautiful and graceful and deadly and ridiculous all at once. They're living contradictions, apex predators who fit in your lap, wild animals who purr, solitary hunters who sometimes choose company. They're mysterious in a way that invites projection. We can never quite know what a cat is thinking, so we imagine all sorts of complex inner lives for them. This mystery makes them endlessly fascinating. Dogs are obvious and enthusiastic and transparent. Cats are subtle and particular and inscrutable. Different appeal, same obsession. As consciousness fades completely now, as you drift into actual sleep, let yourself appreciate the absurdity and beauty of sharing a planet with creatures like cats. From 700-pound tigers to 3-pound rusty spotted cats, from saber-toothed predators of the Ice Age to your tabby currently sleeping on your keyboard, all of them variations on the same theme of efficient, beautiful, ridiculous predator. Let the image of cats across time and space fill your fading awareness. Cats in Egyptian temples, cats in Asian forests, cats in your home. Cats hunting mammoths, cats hunting mice, cats hunting the laser pointer that they know isn't real but chase anyway because the instinct is too strong. Everything we've discussed tonight, the domestication con, the saber-toothed experiments, the tiny fishing cats and enormous tigers, the behaviors that make no sense in modern homes but perfect sense in evolutionary context, all of it points to one truth. Cats are profoundly themselves, unapologetically and completely, across millions of years and dozens of species. They don't adapt to us. We adapt to them. They don't change their nature for our convenience. We change our homes to accommodate their needs. And somehow this arrangement has worked for 10,000 years and shows no signs of stopping. Let that be your final thought as sleep takes you. The cats won. They domesticated themselves, trained us to feed them, convinced us to worship them, and maintained almost perfect wild animal status throughout. They're living in our homes on their terms, and we're completely fine with it. Maybe there's something to learn from that. Maybe being unapologetically yourself, maintaining your boundaries, choosing your own terms, accepting affection when you want it and solitude when you need it. Maybe that's not a bad approach to life. Or maybe cats are just weird and we love them anyway. Either interpretation works. But before you drift into complete sleep, let's talk about the big cats, because they're too magnificent and too ridiculous not to appreciate properly. Lions, tigers, leopards, jaguars, snow leopards. The icons. The symbols of power and grace. The animals that humanity has been obsessed with since we first started painting on cave walls. These are the only cats that can roar, thanks to a specially modified larynx and hyoid bone that's flexible instead of rigid. This allows them to produce those deep, resonating roars that can be heard for miles. A lion's roar can carry up to 5 miles across open savanna. A tiger's roar can travel 2 miles through dense forest. These are advertisement calls, announcing territory, warning rivals, attracting mates. Very loud, very dramatic, very effective. But here's what's funny. Big cats can roar, but they can't purr. At least not the continuous purring that small cats do. They can make purr-like sounds while exhaling, but they can't do the continuous inhale-exhale purring that makes your house cat sound like a tiny motorboat. They traded purring for roaring, which seems like a fair exchange when you're an apex predator who needs to announce your presence across miles of territory. Lions are the only truly social cats, living in prides of related females and a coalition of males. This is strange for cats, which are otherwise universally solitary. The social structure evolved because lions hunt large prey in open habitats where cooperation actually helps. A lone lion has about a 15% hunting success rate. A group of lions working together can achieve 30%, which is still terrible by house cat standards, but much better than solo hunting when you're going after buffalo. The males with their magnificent manes don't do much hunting. Their job is to defend the pride's territory from other males and occasionally help bring down very large prey. The females do most of the hunting and cub rearing. The males mostly just look impressive and fight other males in brutal territorial battles that often end in death. When new males take over a pride, they typically kill all the cubs that aren't theirs. This is horrifying from a human perspective, but makes evolutionary sense. The females won't mate again until their cubs are independent, which takes about 2 years. By killing existing cubs, the new males bring the females back into mating condition immediately, giving the males more time to reproduce before they're inevitably overthrown by younger males. Lion cubs, by the way, are born with spots that fade as they age. This is thought to be an evolutionary echo of a time when ancestral lions were more leopard-like. Even now, the cubs carry the memory of spots in their coat patterns, a ghostly reminder of their evolutionary past. Let that image accompany you towards sleep. Baby lions with spots, looking like tiny leopards, gradually transforming into the iconic golden predators we recognize. Tigers are the largest cats, with Siberian tigers being the absolute units of the cat world. They're solitary hunters of dense forests, using their stripes for camouflage in tall grass and dappled sunlight. Those stripes, by the way, are technically stretched-out rosettes, the same basic pattern as leopard spots, but elongated into vertical bands. Evolution took spots and turned them into stripes because stripes work better for breaking up the outline of a large animal in vertical vegetation. White tigers aren't a separate species or even a natural variation that occurs regularly in the wild. They're the result of a recessive gene that was found in a single tiger in 1951 and has been maintained through intensive inbreeding in captivity. Most white tigers alive today are descended from that one individual and are inbred to the point of health problems. They're beautiful but tragic, an example of humans interfering with genetics for aesthetic reasons. Tigers are excellent swimmers, unlike most cats, which generally tolerate water but don't seek it out. Tigers will happily swim across rivers, hunt in water, and cool off in streams during hot weather. They're comfortable in water in a way that house cats find absolutely horrifying. Different species, different adaptations, same general disdain for baths. Leopards are the ultimate survivors, found across more habitats than any other big cat. From African savannas to Siberian forests, from sea level to 16,000 feet in the Himalayas. They're adaptable, solitary, incredibly strong, and patient. They hunt by ambush, stalking to within a few feet before exploding into a sprint. They can drag prey twice their own weight up into trees to keep it away from lions and hyenas. Their rosette patterns are perfectly designed for dappled light in forests and scrublands. Black panthers, by the way, are just melanistic leopards or jaguars, not a separate species. If you look closely at a black panther in the right light, you can still see the spots beneath the black coat. The pattern is still there, just covered by extra melanin. Nature being economical, keeping the base template even when the color changes. Jaguars are the powerhouses of the Americas, built like linebackers, with the strongest bite force of any cat relative to body size. They're stocky and muscular, perfectly adapted for hunting in dense rainforest and wetlands. Unlike other cats that typically bite the throat or neck to suffocate prey, jaguars often bite directly through the skull, killing instantly. Their jaws are strong enough to pierce turtle shells and caiman armor. They're the only big cat comfortable hunting in water, where they'll take on caimans and large fish with no hesitation. Black jaguars are relatively common compared to black leopards because melanism in jaguars is caused by a dominant gene rather than a recessive one. Simple genetics making dramatic differences in how often you see all black cats in different populations. In some jaguar populations, seeing a black jaguar is just another Tuesday in the rainforest. Snow leopards are the ghosts of the mountains, living at altitudes where most other large predators can't survive. They have massive nasal cavities to process thin mountain air, thick fur to survive freezing temperatures, and enormous paws that act like snowshoes. Their tail is absurdly long and fluffy, used for balance on steep cliffs, and as a scarf they can wrap around their face when resting in freezing weather. They can't roar like other big cats, which makes them technically not true big cats despite being large. They chuff instead, making soft puffing sounds for communication. They're solitary, elusive, and beautiful in a way that seems almost unreal. Photographs of snow leopards in their natural habitat are rare because the cats are rare and the habitat is incredibly difficult for humans to access. As sleep deepens now, let images of these magnificent cats drift through your consciousness. Lions roaring across savannas, their calls carrying for miles. Tigers stalking through Siberian snow, enormous and silent. Leopards hauling prey into trees with casual strength. Jaguars swimming through flooded forests, hunting caimans. Snow leopards leaping across mountain cliffs with impossible grace. All of them cats, all of them variations on the same predatory theme, all of them perfect for their specific environments. Let yourself feel the diversity of it. 8 lineages, nearly 40 species, each one adapted to different prey, different habitats, different strategies. Some hunt alone, one hunts in groups. Some roar, some purr, some chuff. Some climb trees, some swim rivers, some leap across mountains. But all of them unmistakably feline. All of them carrying that characteristic cat energy of grace and power and complete indifference to what anyone thinks. And all of them, from the 700-pound Siberian tiger to your 3-pound house cat, descended from that one ancestral cat-like creature millions of years ago. All of them running similar software, hunting similar ways, grooming similar patterns, sleeping similar amounts. The size changes, the habitat changes, but the fundamental catness remains constant. Now, as consciousness truly fades, as sleep takes you completely, let's contemplate one final mystery about cats. That purr, that strange vibration that science still doesn't fully understand, even though we've lived with purring cats for 10,000 years. Cats purr at a frequency between 25 and 150 hertz, which happens to be the same frequency range that promotes healing in bones and tissues. Cats purr when they're content, yes, but they also purr when they're injured, scared, or dying. It seems to be a self-soothing mechanism, a way to promote healing and reduce stress. Mother cats purr while giving birth. Kittens purr while nursing. Injured cats purr while recovering. There's a theory, not proven but intriguing, that cats purring might have health benefits for humans too. That same healing frequency that helps cats might help people. Living with cats has been associated with reduced stress, lower blood pressure, decreased risk of heart attack. Is it the purring? Is it the companionship? Is it just that people who like cats are calmer by nature? Nobody knows for sure. But there's something deeply comforting about a cat's purr, something that transcends scientific explanation. That steady vibration, that motorboat sound, that physical manifestation of contentment or healing or comfort. It's primal and soothing in ways that bypass conscious thought and speak directly to some ancient part of our brain that recognizes this as a good sound, a safe sound, a sound that means things are okay for now. Let that purr fill your awareness as you drift into sleep. Real or imagined, it doesn't matter. That steady vibration, that rhythmic sound, that reassurance that someone small and soft is nearby and content. Let it slow your breathing, relax your muscles, quiet your thoughts. Let it be the last sound you're conscious of before sleep takes you completely. The cats are sleeping too, somewhere. Your house cat curled up nearby, tigers in distant forests, lions on African plains, leopards in trees, tiny rusty spotted cats in Sri Lankan bushes. All of them sleeping that deep cat sleep, conserving energy, dreaming whatever cats dream about. Probably hunting. Definitely not worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. Just sleeping, being perfectly and completely themselves. You can do that too. Just for tonight, just for now. Be perfectly and completely yourself, sleeping, resting, conserving energy, letting the day end and the restoration begin. No judgment, no worry, no analysis. Just sleep, like cats have been doing for millions of years, efficiently and thoroughly, and without overthinking it. The universe will continue operating while you sleep. The laws of physics will maintain themselves. The cats will keep being cats. And you can just rest, knowing that everything that needs to happen is happening. Everything that can wait will wait. And right now your only job is to sleep as deeply and peacefully as a cat in a sunbeam. Let everything we've discussed fade now. The domestication, the evolution, the saber teeth, the big cats, the tiny cats, the strange behaviors, the purring, the roaring, all of it becoming background information, Integrated but not active. Understood but not requiring thought. You are here, now, breathing, relaxing, drifting, sleeping. That's all. That's enough. That's everything it needs to be. Good night.